Hi, my name is Emily, and this is the story I never thought I'd tell, not because it's too personal or too painful, though it is both, but because, like so many others, I always believed these things happened to someone else, someone careless, someone gullible, someone not like us, but I was wrong. It started, like all tragedies do, on an ordinary day. The kind of day you forget until something unforgettable happens on it. I was at work, buried in emails and the quiet hum of fluorescent lights, when I got a text from my mother. Hey Em, I can't get into my Facebook. It says my password's wrong. Did I mess something up? At first, I didn't think much of it. My mom, Sarah, is 62 years old and surprisingly tech-savvy for someone who used a flip phone until 2018. But passwords? That was always a struggle. Birthdays, pets, random numbers. She changed them often and forgot them even more often. I smiled at her message and replied, "Probably just a typo. Try resetting it. Let me know if you need help." Simple, routine, harmless. I went back to work. What I didn't know then was that, as I typed that message, something much darker had already begun unraveling behind the scenes. Something we wouldn't fully understand until it was too late. My mom's Facebook was more than a social network. It was her community. It's how she kept up with her childhood friends, her former co-workers from the school she retired from, and her sisters who lived 3 states away. It was where she posted pictures of her cats, commented on knitting videos, and shared memories that made her laugh or cry. It wasn't just a platform. It was personal. That's why, when I got home later that evening, I was surprised to find her pacing in the living room, phone clutched in her hand, her face pale and confused. "They locked me out," she said as soon as I walked in. "It won't even let me reset the password. The recovery email is not mine anymore. It's something weird, like a bunch of letters and numbers." I took the phone from her, suddenly uneasy. I clicked through the recovery options. She was right. The recovery email was something like cpx83lkm@outlook.com. The phone number listed wasn't hers either. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a simple forgotten password. Her account had been taken. "Okay," I said, trying to stay calm. "We'll figure this out. Just don't click on anything, and don't reply to any messages, okay?" She nodded, but I could see the panic already creeping into her eyes. I sat down at my laptop and did what anyone would do. I reported the account as compromised using my own Facebook profile. I filled out the forms, attached screenshots, and wrote a detailed explanation. Then I waited. But if you've ever tried getting a real human response from Facebook, you know what happened next. Nothing. No confirmation. No progress. Just silence. Meanwhile, my mom's account was still active, but it wasn't her posting anymore. Friends started messaging me. "Emily, your mom just sent me a weird link. Is Sarah okay? She asked me to send money to her PayPal. Why is your mom sharing crypto deals?" That was when the reality of it all hit me. This wasn't just a hack. Someone had taken over her digital identity and they were using it. The next morning, it got worse. My mom got a WhatsApp message from an unknown number. The profile picture was a woman wearing a headset, and behind her was the Facebook logo, blurry, slightly distorted, but enough to fool someone who was desperate. The message read, "Hi Sarah, we are from the Facebook help desk. We noticed your account was compromised. Please click the link below to begin the recovery process." The link had a bright blue button. It read, "Verify now." Against her better judgment, maybe just out of hope, my mom clicked it. The page looked almost real. It mimicked Facebook's login screen almost perfectly. The logo, the layout, even the security disclaimer at the bottom, but the URL at the top was a mess. Access reset secure 203.com. Still, my mom entered her email. Then the password she thought she'd last used. Nothing. She tried again. Still nothing. Then, she got an email. It looked like it came from Facebook support. The subject line was, "We are verifying your ownership. Please send photo ID. The sender address is support help@protonmail.com. She showed me the email that evening and asked, "Is this real?" I didn't even have to think. "No, Mom, it's not. Don't send them anything." But she already had dot in that moment. I felt helpless, like I was watching someone drown and all I had was a garden hose. I tried to reverse the damage. I changed every password I could think of. I reported the fake email. I blocked the WhatsApp number. But I couldn't stop what had already happened, because just when I thought it couldn't get worse, it did. That night, she got a phone call. Caller ID read, "Facebook recovery." She answered. A calm male voice introduced himself. "Hello, this is Kevin from Facebook Security. We're here to help recover your account. I just need you to confirm the temporary access code we're about to send." A moment later, her phone buzzed with a real SIMS from Facebook. A 6-digit code. She read it to him. That code? It wasn't for recovery. It was for two-factor authentication triggered because Kevin was trying to log into her backup account, and now he had it. By the time I realized what had happened, it was too late. I watched the second email notification come through. "Your Facebook password has been changed." My mom sat there silently, her face blank. "2 accounts. Both are gone." And then came the demand. The email came at 6:42 the next morning. The subject line was simple and blunt. "Your account. Pay now." I stared at the screen, barely able to breathe as I opened the message. There were no pleasantries, no greetings, just a single block of text. "Cold and ruthless. We control both of your Facebook accounts. If you want them back, you must pay $600 in Bitcoin within 24 hours. Send to this address. Wallet address. If you do not pay, we will delete everything, all your photos, all your messages, all your memories. No second chances." My mom stood beside me, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. I didn't know what to say either. For a full minute, we just stood there, reading the message over and over again, hoping somehow that if we read it one more time, it would vanish. Like a bad dream, but it didn't. "We can't pay them," I finally said, forcing the words out like poison. My mom looked at me, her eyes glassy. "What if they erase everything, Emily? My photos, the videos of your graduation, the one from Dad's birthday. I don't have those saved anywhere else." She sank into the couch, eyes wide with something deeper than panic, something like loss. A loss she hadn't even experienced yet but could already feel clawing at the edge of her heart. "They're going to erase my life," she whispered. "No," I said firmly. "They're trying to scare you. That's what this is. Psychological warfare. We're not giving them money. They'll just come back asking for more." I wish I had sounded more confident. That day, I went into full research mode. I searched forums, Reddit threads, cybercrime blogs, anything and everything about social media scams. The stories I found were terrifyingly similar: hijacked accounts, fake support emails, ransom demands. Some people paid, only to lose everything. Anyway, others refused and watched their profiles get wiped. The pattern was clear. These people weren't just hackers. They were professionals, social engineers who knew how to manipulate trust, fear, and desperation like it was a second language. That's when I realized this wasn't a one-off incident. We were part of a system, a predatory game with hundreds, maybe thousands of victims. And behind all of it, Kevin. At 3:15 p.m., a new message arrived on WhatsApp. "We see you have not paid. You now have 12 hours. Attached was a screenshot of my mother's profile, her face replaced with a clown emoji. The bio had been changed to "stupid old lady. Pay up or lose everything." My hands clenched into fists, not because of the insult but because I saw the way my mom flinched when she read it. She wasn't just scared now, she was humiliated, and that was the point. "We need to do something," I muttered. "What can we do?" she asked, her voice flat. "No one's helping us. Not Facebook, not the police. We're alone." She was right, I had filled out every form Facebook offered. I flagged the accounts. I tagged their support page on Twitter. I emailed security@fb.com. Nothing, just a string of automated replies. Meanwhile, Kevin was sending another message. This is your final warning. After midnight, everything goes. You can say goodbye to your memories, that word again. Memories.it struck something inside me. These weren't just accounts, they were archives of a life. Our life. I reached out to one of my old college friends, Priya. She worked in cybersecurity at a mid-sized firm, mostly handling phishing attempts and malware analysis. I wasn't even sure she'd respond, but she did within minutes. Emily, this is happening constantly now. Elderly people are being targeted like crazy. The scary part is, most of it's automated. There are entire networks doing this, and they sell each other access once the account is compromised. She asked me to send her every screenshot, every message, and every email address involved. I sent it all. 2 hours later, she replied, "This is definitely a scam ring. That Bitcoin wallet address has popped up before. You should file a report with IC3 FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center." It's a long shot, but it's something. I submitted the report immediately, even though I knew it wouldn't save us that night. Then I remembered something. My mom had an old Hotmail address, the one she used when she first signed up for Facebook over a decade ago. Do you still have access to that email? I asked her. She nodded. I haven't used it in years. We logged in. It was dusty and cluttered with newsletters and spam, but I found what I was looking for. A welcome email from Facebook dated 2012. It included the original account creation timestamp and her profile ID number. We had proof. I fired off another email to Facebook's support team, this time with the subject line, "Urgent identity stolen original account data attacked." Included everything. Her old email, screenshots of the hacked profile, the phishing links, and the WhatsApp messages. I added a final line. "If you don't act soon, she will lose everything. We have documentation. We are not giving up." Then I hit send. The hours dragged. My mom sat beside me, too anxious to watch TV and too restless to sleep. Midnight was approaching, and with every passing minute, Kevin's deadline loomed like a shadow over us. I refreshed the email again. Nothing. 11:45 p.m. I refreshed again. Still nothing. Then, just as the clock struck 11:57 p.m., a new email slid into the inbox. The sender, security case 1 to 3 at fcomp address at fb.com. A real one. The subject, case escalated account lockout resolution. I opened it with shaking hands. "Thank you for your detailed report. We've reviewed the account history and confirmed unauthorized access. Please follow the instructions below to reset your login credentials. We strongly recommend enabling two-factor authentication." I couldn't believe it. They were giving us a way back in .it. Took us nearly an hour to follow the steps. They asked for ID verification, photo matching, and even metadata from the original photos posted on her profile. It was intense, but it worked. At 1:09 a.m., my mom's phone lit up with a new notification. "Your Facebook password has been changed. You can now log in." She did, and there it was, her profile, restored. The clown emoji was gone. The malicious posts had vanished. Her photos, messages, and videos were intact. Everything was still there. We cried. I think we both cried for a full 5 minutes, but it wasn't over yet, because Kevin wasn't finished. He messaged us again at 3:04 a.m. "Cute. You got your account back. Doesn't mean I'm done." Then another, "Let's see how many more of your friends fall for the next one." I stared at those words, heart pounding. Was he bluffing? Did he still have something? Some backdoor access? I didn't know. But I wasn't going to wait and see. The next 24 hours were a blur of digital triage. I helped my mom change every password she owned, set up two-factor authentication across the board, delete old accounts she hadn't used in years, scan her computer for malware, lock down her email with a physical security key. We even bought a password manager, and just to be safe, I Googled her name. That's when I found them. 2 fake profiles on Instagram and Twitter. Same name, same profile picture, 0 posts. But they existed. Kevin wasn't bluffing, he had copies. We reported them. Then I filed an additional complaint with IC3, including the new profiles and Kevin's threats. I didn't expect a response, but 2 days later, I got one from an investigator. Getting her Facebook account back should have been the end, but it wasn't, not even close. In fact, in some ways, that was when the real fear began. My mom stared at her restored profile like it was a stranger. Her own photos, smiling back at her, from vacations and birthday parties, now felt like something stolen and returned slightly off, like someone had rummaged through her memories and left fingerprints on everything. She didn't post. She didn't like it. She didn't comment. She just watched. Every click was hesitant. Every notification made her flinch. Do you think he's still in there? She asked me one night, her voice barely audible. No, I told her. We changed everything. They've lost access, but even I didn't believe it fully, because Kevin had said something in that last message that haunted me. Doesn't mean I'm done. We did everything right. We locked down her email with 2-factor authentication. We deleted unused apps and accounts. We set up alerts for unusual activity. We combed through her Facebook privacy settings like it was a crime scene, and yet, the paranoia wouldn't let go. Sometimes my mom would open Facebook just to scroll through her memories, but she never stayed long, never commented, never engaged. She was terrified of being noticed again, of being targeted. One afternoon, she called me in a panic. Emily, my screen just went white for a second, then everything came back. But it happened right when I clicked on someone's comment. I rushed over. We ran scans, checked browser logs, everything. There was nothing unusual, but I realized something then. Even if Kevin was gone, he was still in her head. A week passed. Then 2, we thought maybe, just maybe, it was over. Then came the Instagram message. A woman named Claire had messaged my mom. Hi Sarah, I think someone pretending to be you contacted me last week, asking for money for a fundraiser. It felt off, so I didn't send anything, but I just wanted to check. The profile was gone by the time we looked. Another fake Sarah, another clone. Kevin, or someone like him, was using her face like a mask. That was the moment my mom broke down. She cried on the kitchen floor for 20 minutes. I held her the whole time. This will never stop, she sobbed. I'm just a photo now, a puppet. I went back to Priya, told her everything. She didn't hesitate. Time to go deeper, she said. She gave me a list of tools: reverse image search databases, domain trackers, and dark web crawlers. Nothing illegal, just powerful. The kind of tools digital investigators use when they want to find out where things really come from. We started with the email address Kevin used: support@help@protonmail.com, using a metadata tracking service. We found that this email had been used in at least 6 known phishing cases reported publicly. One of them dated back to 2021, targeting a retired woman in Texas. Same story, same tricks. Then we looked at the WhatsApp number. The number had been registered in a country code outside the US, but more interestingly, it had been flagged on several scam reporting platforms, not just for Facebook hacks, but for investment fraud, romance scams, and even fake charity drives. Kevin wasn't a person, he was a system, a playbook, 1,000 heads wearing the same face. Then finally a flicker of hope. 2 weeks after I filed the IC3 report, I got an email from an address ending in @fby.gov.it. Was short: we have received your complaint and escalated it for review. A federal cybercrime analyst will be in touch for a preliminary interview. Thank you for your cooperation. I read it 3 times just to be sure it wasn't fake. Then I called my mom. For the first time in weeks, I heard a smile in her voice. They responded? They did. The interview was over Zoom. A woman named Special Agent Heller, calm and composed, with a badge number and a stack of questions. She asked everything. How the hack happened, how Sarah had interacted with the fake emails, what numbers had contacted us, what domains were used, and even how she felt about Facebook's lack of response. I answered most of the questions. My mom sat beside me, nervous but willing. Heller didn't promise us miracles. We're seeing a spike in these cases. Most come from overseas. What you're describing is part of a broader social engineering network. They operate in teams, scripted attacks, shared databases of victims. But I'll flag this for further investigation, especially since the Bitcoin wallet used has a history. Will you be able to catch him? My mom asked quietly. Heller paused. We'll do everything we can. It wasn't a yes, but it wasn't a no, and that was more than we'd had before. After the call, my mom didn't say much. She just nodded, sat down at her desk, and opened Facebook. She didn't post anything, but she changed her profile picture for the first time in months. It was a photo of her and my dad, smiling on their porch. Years ago, her way of saying, I'm still here. That week, I took on a new mission. I wrote our story, not just for the FBI, not just for our friends, but for anyone. I posted it on Medium under the title, My Mother Was Stolen Online. Within days, it spread. People messaged us, this happened to my aunt. My dad lost his business page the same way. Thank you. I thought I was crazy. We weren't alone. None of us were. One night, I found my mom at her desk, writing something by hand. What's that? I asked. She looked up, sheepish. Just a checklist for the library group. You know how to recognize a scam, how to secure your email, and what not to click. I smiled. You're becoming a cybersecurity coach now? She laughed. Guess so. If I can stop even one person from going through this. And for the first time in weeks, I saw it. She didn't look scared anymore. She looked strong, but Kevin still wasn't gone, not completely. A few nights later, I was going through our usual Cyber Sunday ritual when I noticed something, a new login attempt from Mumbai, India, denied thank God, but the attempt was real, and it had been made using one of Sarah's old email addresses. We had changed the password, enabled to factor, but the account had still been probed. They were still trying, still reaching, still out there. We weren't naive anymore. We didn't panic. We documented it, reported it, forwarded the log to Agent Heller, then we deleted the old email permanently. Kevin could chase shadows all he wanted. We weren't going to be shadows anymore. I once read that hunting cybercriminals is like chasing smoke through a broken mirror. Every reflection looks real until you reach for it. But what happens when the smoke starts to thicken? When do the reflections stop being abstract? That's where we were now. It had been 3 weeks since Agent Heller's interview. The first 2 passed quietly. No new messages from Kevin, no suspicious activity, no signs of another clone. Then came the login attempt from Mumbai. It was denied, blocked by 2-factor authentication. But it wasn't random. It came from one of my mom's old email addresses. One we thought we'd already shut down. That made it clear. Kevin, or someone in his network, still had traces of her digital identity. Still testing, still hoping for a backdoor. I sent the IP log to Heller immediately. Her reply came the next morning. This confirms activity linked to a known phishing cluster operating out of South Asia. This aligns with previous flags on the wallet you submitted. Our team is cross-referencing login behavior and targeting patterns. If you receive any further contact, do not engage. Just log it and send it over. There it was, not just a scammer, a cluster, a word that somehow made it. Worse. It wasn't a single man in a hoodie typing in a dark room. It was a team, an organization, maybe a business, structured, funded, practiced. Kevin wasn't alone. that changed how I looked at everything. I started digging deeper into digital footprints. I learned how scammers rotate identities, reuse phishing templates, and even rent access to breach databases. And the most chilling part, my mom's case wasn't even unique. On a cybersecurity forum, I found a thread titled "Facebook Supports Scam Anyone Else?" It had over 400 replies, different stories, same method, fake recovery email, phony support staff, cloned profiles, Bitcoin ransom. I scrolled for hours, documenting similarities, saving screenshots. One reply caught my eye. Got a call from a guy named Kevin. Sounded American. Used a fake FB logo background on WhatsApp. Claimed he needed my 6-digit to FA code to confirm my identity. I gave it. Lost everything. My heart skipped. Kevin wasn't just a name. He was a script, a recurring character in a global fraud playbook. I messaged the user. Her name was Danielle. She was from Arizona. Her mom had been the victim, just like mine. We talked for over an hour. Our experiences mirrored each other almost perfectly. The voice, the phrasing, the emotional pressure, even the timing. But Danielle had one extra detail. They sent us a video once. It was short. It looked like a screen recording from Facebook's help page, but with a voiceover, Kevin's voice explaining how to recover your account. I kept it. She emailed it to me that night. I played it 3 times. It was low resolution and choppy, but the voice, it was calm, friendly, practiced. Welcome to Facebook Recovery. My name is Kevin. I'll guide you through the process of verifying your account. Make sure you have your phone ready and your government-issued ID. He sounded like someone you trust, someone who worked in customer service, someone who could trick a retired school teacher into handing over her life. I sent the video to Agent Heller immediately. She responded the next day. Thank you. This may help. Our team is using voice recognition software to cross-check known scam hotlines and call center leaks. We'll keep you updated. I wanted to ask what that meant, but I already knew. Somewhere in the dark corners of the internet, there were leaked databases, recorded scam calls, and surveillance footage, bits and pieces of a machine no one saw, but everyone suffered from, and Kevin might be one of its cogs. Meanwhile, my mom was healing. Slowly, she started commenting again. Not on public posts, but in her private knitting group. She even messaged her old friend Lisa in Oregon and explained what had happened. She said the same thing happened to her niece. My mom told me one night. I guess we're part of a club now, a really terrible club, I said, half joking, but she smiled. That doesn't mean we can't help each other. We started making weekly posts in online community groups. How to recognize a phishing scam, how to spot a fake Facebook support message, what a real recovery link looks like, what to do if your account gets hacked. People responded. Some asked questions. Others shared warnings. One woman even messaged privately saying, I was about to send my ID to a Proton mail address. Then I read your post. You saved me. It was strange. Every time we shared what we'd been through, the power it had over us seemed to shrink just a little bit more, like shining light into a room that had been dark for too long. Then, one night, I got a call, unknown number. I didn't answer. A minute later, it rang again, same number. This time, I let it go to voicemail. I played it back immediately, a male voice. No greeting. You're not as smart as you think you are. You think the FBI can find us? You think you're safe? Click. That was a .no name. No callback number. No clear threat, just presence. I saved the voicemail. Sent it to Heller. She replied in 5 minutes. Do not engage. We are analyzing the voice fingerprint. If there are any further calls, record everything. You've become a high-interest target in this investigation. We'll be watching closely. A high-interest target. That phrase rattled in my chest for hours. We weren't chasing shadows anymore. The shadows had started looking back. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my desk, reading every report I could find on cybercrime enforcement. I scrolled through darknet breach logs, public scam warnings, and Bitcoin tracing tools. At 3:27 a.m., I found something that froze me. It was a leak, an old one from a breached call center database connected to a known phishing ring. The leak included sample scripts, recorded training calls, and names. One of them, Kevin, Level 2 Recovery Voice Script English, his whole speech, word for word, even the joke he'd made to my mom about how sometimes passwords have a mind of their own. I clicked on the audio file. It was him, the voice from Danielle's video, the voice from our nightmare. Now, it had a footprint. I emailed Heller again. Subject line: Kevin's script found in breach leak audio. Attached. Reply came 12 hours later. Confirmed match. Our unit is now working with international partners on active monitoring of known accounts linked to the script. We'll be in touch. I didn't know whether to be relieved or terrified, but one thing was clear: the ghost had a voice, and we were finally getting close enough to hear it whisper. There's a strange shift that happens when fear gives way to fury. For weeks, my mom and I had lived in anxiety, checking every message twice, locking everything down, and jumping at shadows. But once Kevin's voice appeared in that breach leak, once we had confirmation from the FBI that he was part of a real, identified operation, everything changed. We weren't victims anymore. We were witnesses, we were evidence, and we were part of the hunt. Agent Heller's tone shifted too. Her emails grew more frequent and more detailed. She no longer spoke in vague terms like "we're reviewing" or "we're escalating." Now it was, "We are coordinating with Interpol and regional cybercrime units in Asia. We've mapped connections between 14 known wallet addresses linked to this group." Kevin's voice pattern is associated with a call center located in Hyderabad, flagged in 2 prior investigations. It was surreal. Somewhere on the other side of the world, in a city I'd never been to, sat a man who used the name Kevin, who smiled and conned elderly people using a headset and a script, who had reduced my mother to tears and nearly erased her digital life. And now, the walls were closing in. My mom and I tried to keep life normal during those weeks, but it never quite worked. We had our cyber Sundays, but they became more than just routine. They were anchors, moments to feel in control again. Sometimes, we just sat in silence, sipping tea, watching her phone for odd alerts. Other times, we laughed at how paranoid we'd become. "Look at us," she said one day, holding up her brand new YubiKey like it was a wand. Who knew I'd turn into some kind of internet spy at 62? But beneath the humor was a quiet resilience. She had been violated, humiliated, targeted, and she was still here. Then, a week later, something unexpected happened. A reporter reached out. Her name was Maya Thompson, from a digital crime column at a major online publication. She had seen my Medium post and wanted to talk. "There's a wave of these scams hitting the US hard," she said during our call. "But people don't report it. They're ashamed, or they think no one cares. Your story stood out because you didn't stay silent. Would you be willing to speak publicly?" My mom hesitated. "I don't want people to think I'm stupid," she said, but I gently reminded her, "You're not stupid. You're normal. And that's exactly why people need to hear this." She nodded. A week later, we were featured in an article titled "Hijacked by Kevin: The Silent Epidemic of Facebook Scams." The response was overwhelming. Emails, messages, calls. People from all over the country wrote in, sharing nearly identical stories. Different names, different fake voices, but the same pain. And slowly, a network began to form. Not of scammers, but of survivors. My mom was invited to speak at a local digital safety seminar hosted by our library. She was nervous, but she agreed. I watched her stand in front of a room full of people, some older than her, some younger, and tell her story with a calm steadiness that I hadn't seen in weeks. "I gave someone everything they asked for," she said, "because they sounded kind, because they made me panic, and because I trusted too easily. But now I know better. And I want you to know better too. She got a standing ovation. I nearly cried. Then, 2 days later, Agent Heller called, not emailed, called. Her voice was firm, focused. Emily, we've coordinated with local authorities overseas. A small operation was conducted targeting an illegal call center suspected of multiple digital fraud cases, including yours. I froze. Several people were arrested. One of them is under preliminary identification as the voice behind the Kevin persona used in English language scams. I couldn't speak. We'll need you and your mother to give official statements. We're not confirming a direct prosecution yet, but we are preparing evidence packages for international cooperation. I managed to ask, do you think it's really him? She paused, then said something I'll never forget. We don't just think it. We know it. That night, I sat with my mom in our living room. The lights were dim, and for the first time, in a long time, the silence felt peaceful, not tense. They got him? She asked quietly. Maybe not all of them, I said. But yeah, they got him. She closed her eyes. I watched her exhale the weight of weeks, maybe months. You know what I want to do, she said suddenly. What? I want to post again. She walked to her laptop and opened Facebook. She stared at the empty status box for a full minute. Then she typed, to all my friends, if I ever seemed strange these past few months, it's because I was hacked. It was terrifying. But I'm here. I'm okay. And I've learned a lot. If you ever feel uncertain about something online, don't ignore that instinct. Also, if anyone named Kevin messages you, just block him. She hit post, and just like that, she was back. But even as we celebrated, I knew something had shifted inside me permanently. I used to think of the internet as a place. Now, I think of it as a mirror. Everything you put in gets reflected, sometimes back at you, sometimes to someone watching. And if you're not careful, the reflection can be twisted into something dark. Kevin taught me that, but so did my mother, because no matter how much was stolen from her photos, access, identity, what is one thing they never got? Her spirit. You'd think the end of a story like this would come with a bang, a courtroom, a confession, a sentence, but when cybercrime spans oceans, time zones, and servers, justice moves like fog, slow, quiet, and hard to touch. Still, it moves, and we felt it. 2 weeks after Agent Heller's call, we received an official letter from the Department of Justice. It was brief and clinical. Following cooperation with international agencies, the individual known by the alias Kevin has been identified as Ravi G., 32-year-old national of India, currently in custody as part of an ongoing investigation into a multi-million-dollar digital fraud ring. The letter didn't go into details, but attached was a public statement prepared for victims. The suspect is accused of using false identities, fake technical support channels, and social engineering scripts to steal access to personal accounts. Charges include wire fraud, identity theft, and extortion. While proceedings are ongoing in the jurisdiction of arrest, the U.S. government is pursuing further legal coordination. That was it. The man who had impersonated Facebook support, who had spoofed recovery calls and sent threats, who had looked my mother in the eye through a screen and said, "We're here to help," now had a name and a cell. There was no trial we could attend, no dramatic confrontation, but there was a statement we were asked to provide for court records. My mom and I spent 2 evenings writing it together. She insisted on handwriting hers before typing it. Dear prosecutors, my name is Sarah, and I'm not here to talk about money or accounts. I'm here to talk about trust. I trusted the voice of a stranger because I was afraid. I gave him everything because I thought he was helping me, but I wasn't stupid. I was human. And I hope, wherever he is, he hears this. You didn't beat me. You made me stronger, and now I help others like me. That's the part of the story you don't get to control. I cried while typing it, and then I added my own. The court never replied, but I didn't need them to. This wasn't about them anymore. This was about us. Our lives weren't going back to the way they were because we weren't the same people anymore. My mom became something of a local legend. After the library seminar, she was invited to 3 more speaking events. One was hosted by a senior center, another by a local women's group. The third was at a high school technology class to show the next generation what happens when online safety isn't taken seriously. At each event, she brought her handwritten checklist. She called it Sarah's 7 Seconds of Safety because, as she put it only takes 7 seconds to realize something feels off, and that can be the difference between keeping your identity or handing it away. Check the email address, check the link, check the logo, pause, ask someone, report it, don't panic. Simple, but powerful. One afternoon, I walked into the library and saw a printed version of the checklist taped to the computer monitor at the public internet station. In big bold letters, "If you don't recognize IT, don't click IT." That's when I knew we had won in the only way that mattered, not with courts, not with cops, but with change. Still, it wasn't entirely over. About a month after Kevin's arrest, I got a DM on Twitter. The profile had no picture, just a gray silhouette. The message was short: "Some people don't stay gone forever." I stared at it for a long time, then I blocked the sender, screenshotted the message, and forwarded it to Heller. Her reply came fast. "Likely a scare tactic. Could be a former associate or just a troll who read your story. We're monitoring all known links to the arrested parties. No signs of breach or compromise. But thank you for logging it." I wasn't scared. I was tired, but I wasn't helpless anymore, because here's the thing about surviving a scam like this. You never go back to who you were before. You don't trust emails the same way. You don't believe in pop-ups. You look at tech support agents with suspicion. You triple-check URLs like they're loaded weapons, but you also become sharper, more aware, more solid, like metal tempered in fire. One Sunday morning, 6 months after it all began, my mom opened her laptop and said, "I think I want to teach a class." I raised an eyebrow. "Like, at the community center?" She nodded. "I want to call it Digital Defense for Grown-ups. Short sessions, real-life examples. Maybe even bring in someone like you or Priya to demo tools." She paused, thoughtful, and we could finish each session with tea and cookies. To take the edge off, we both laughed, but the idea stuck, and 2 months later, Digital Defense for Grown-ups had its first session. 11 attendees, 1 PowerPoint, 2 dozen cookies. She stood in front of them not as a victim, but as a guide. As for me, I've turned my story into something useful too. I now volunteer part-time with a nonprofit that helps older adults navigate online spaces. I write digital safety blogs. I speak at local events when I can, and I still log in every Sunday to help my mom update her passwords and scan for threats. But these days, it's less about defense and more about connection, because the greatest lesson Kevin taught me wasn't about danger. It was about protection, not just of data or identity or passwords, but of people, of our parents, our neighbors, our friends, people who just want to share pictures of their cats or wish someone a happy birthday and shouldn't have to worry that behind every link is a trap. Sometimes, I still hear his voice in my head, not the words, just the tone, that fake calm, that artificial warmth, and I remember how easy it is to believe someone who sounds like they care. But now, I know the difference. So does my mom, and maybe that's the most important part. We never got our day in court. We never heard Kevin confess or watched him apologize, but we didn't need that because we had something better. We had each other, and we had a new kind of strength, one we could pass on, one that couldn't be hacked, stolen, or deleted ever.
What about you? Have you ever been scammed like this? What have you experienced in this process and how did you overcome it? Share your experiences and what happened to you in the comments. Subscribe for more scam stories. Thanks for listening with me.